Hello, everyone. It's me, Andrew. I'm here in my home in lovely Ligonier, Pennsylvania. Hold on one moment as I go live on Instagram. Uh, Hopefully, you're having a good Friday. I've been feeling a lot better lately. Still ups and downs. So, that's to be expected. I had a flare up last night, so that's less than ideal. But, and then managing it without any pain medicine is not the best. Um, it looks like I burst a blood vessel in my eye. Perfect. Well, I guess that makes us like in the spirit of Halloween. Um, I don't know. I don't know how I'm trying to spin that fun thing. But yeah, so hopefully you all are doing well out there. I'm gonna kind of give folks a second to kind of trickle in. Um, it's Friday night, so I know a lot of folks have things going on. But we're gonna be hanging out tonight. I did not prepare any lots for tonight, but there, we could always throw something in here and there if you have the inclination. Just let me know if you're looking for something, and I can kind of keep an eye out. Maybe not this one. Um, I was like, I hope I don't get pink eye. I don't need another thing, y'all. Another thing. Um, anyways, yeah, so we're gonna hang out tonight and maybe make some things and look at some things, and we'll see where it goes. We're just gonna play it by ear tonight. um there's a couple different things on the calendar that I'm going to talk about real quick. So the first thing is happening tomorrow night. I have 24 pieces that are in a show at the Manos Gallery in Thornton, PA, which is about an hour and 15 minutes from Ligonier. And we're going to try to go to the opening depending on how I feel. And hopefully it's a good turnout and it's a successful opening. It'd be great to have, it'd be great to be invited back. One of my goals this year has been to try to set down some roots locally and also to show more regularly. So I had a goal of showing at least once per month this year. And it kind of, so far, I think I've kind of hit it. There was one month where I had 3 shows. So this kind of, I think I built in a little buffer zone for the rest of the year, but I'm hopeful that I'll have, a couple more things going on before the end. So yeah, I'm going to see who's watching now. I see Marty the Dragon is watching on Instagram. Hey, Marty Brown. Missy Friend. Haven't gotten my anodizer set up, but hopefully soon. I've been looking forward to it and been dreaming up all kinds of different projects. So hopefully we'll get that set up in the near future. If you don't know Marty Brown, she has a gallery out in New Jersey, and you can find more information about that if you go to Marty.the Dragon. And she says, have fun with it. Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been kind of researching different things, and um, I'm very, very excited to get that going. And one of my friends, they're closing out a studio, and they said, "Oh, well, we might have even found a niobium cache hidden away in the studio. So who knows? Maybe I'm gonna get some of that and have some material to make some new things. I'm excited for that. All right, I've seen a couple folks are watching. If you would be so kind to like and share our posts, or thumbs up, thumbs up. Did it do anything? Oh, it did it. See, it did it. Thumbs up. Yeah, do that. I don't know. I get so amused by the animations. What does that heart this? Did it do it? I don't know. Oh, there it goes. And make sure to hit that heart sign and love our posts. I see a couple folks did it. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. I see the Bead Hobby Shop is watching. Hello, friends. Let's see who's here on Facebook and Instagram. Suzanne is watching. Howdy, Suzanne. Nancy's watching. Hi, Nancy. She says she's trickled in. And Suzanne says, we might have a hurricane next week. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully a hurricane's not a coming. Ugh. You know, I get super tempted to go and like relocate there when I see like movies set there and TV shows set there. And it looks really cool when I see stuff on Instagram and people are doing stuff and having shops. And when Georgia posts things, it looks really cool. And then you're like, oh, it's 185 degrees today, or it's flooding, or it's a hurricane coming. I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe I just stay up here in good old Pennsylvania. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen and that you stay safe and that all of our friends in New Orleans are safe. We're going to send some good energy y'all's way. Good energy and lots of love. And hopefully that will do something. Angela's watching. Hi, Angela. And she says, hello, AG fam. And then Susan's watching. Hey, Susan. And Suzanne says, New Orleans is LGBT WPI friendly, but Louisiana is not. Well, you know, one thing that I found, and this may be kind of a narrow vision or a narrow perspective, is that no place will ever be inclusive unless you get that kind of going. And that's probably one of the reasons why we've, why we live in rural Pennsylvania. We've talked about when we lived in New York City, everything was very widely accepted. And, it was when you're in a major metropolitan area, it's a lot easier because of critical mass and you've got more people who are like you. However, the thing is, for us, is really important to create safe spaces. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why when we moved here, it was really important for us to open our store and create that for other people. So, it's harder. I'm not going to lie. It's not always easy. We've had to go through a lot to be where we are. But I think the pluses balance things out, and the good outweighs the bad. I see a couple more folks have joined us on Instagram. Red Squirrel Gifts is watching. Donna Mosley. Hey, Donna Mosley. Been a while, at least for me. But I'm not on the lives as much as William. And Suzanne says, thanks for the energies. And Susan is sending Suzanne some good vibes. The hurricanes are not a thing. Yeah, we'll send some blot. I don't know. Force field. We'll create a force field with our minds. So, anyways, we've So tomorrow is the opening for the Manos Gallery. That's 4 to 8, I believe. I don't know. The store's open tomorrow, so we're not going to be able to make it for the whole entire thing. Plus, I don't think I can stand for that length of time just yet. Um, so we'll be there when we get there if I feel well enough tomorrow. And hopefully it's a good turnout. And then, so tomorrow, that's happening at the Manos Gallery. And then next week, we're having a very special guest who has traveled all the way from California and driven across the country on her epic road trip. Ava Motherwell of the Whole Bead Show, Acclaim, is coming to little old Johnstown. Well, Johnstown's not that little. Um, we need to come up with some good alliteration for Johnstown. But she's coming next weekend. So we're going to have Ava there on the 14th and the 15th, Saturday and Sunday. And she's going to have her trunk show going from 12 to 4 each day. And we're going to do some kind of online component, but we have to talk to Ava about how we're going to do that and when we're going to do it. And yeah, we're celebrating 13 years in business. Can you all believe that? 13 years in business. It's hard to believe that we're going to be celebrating 13 years in business. It's not been necessarily an easy ride, but it's definitely something that I feel like our lives are better for having had this shop and had our own small business and meeting all of you friends out there and staying in contact with y'all. Some of you I've known for a very long time, way before we even had the shop, back in the blog days, believe it or not. Um, and some of you are new friends that we've only just met. So it's nice that we have a mix of old friends and new friends, and hopefully we'll continue to grow the AG Bead fam well into the future. This is our first year in our Johnstown location. There is some maybe news. I don't want to spill the beans too early, but there could be some exciting developments. But what I've learned, I'm not going to say too much too soon. And you can only imagine what that is. But that's going to happen. I don't know when or if it's going to happen, but there is some things that we've been talking about today that kind of came onto the radar. So I want y'all to, yeah, send that good energy however you can. And Susan says you do seem better, Andrew. Yes, it makes a world of difference when you can sleep, get some sleep, and two, drink some coffee. That's the thing. Because yeah, the time that I was sick, it was rough, y'all. You don't even know. William doesn't actually even know all of it, because when it got real bad, I was like, "Go away, William." And I know that that sounds bad, but it's my way of protecting him from the puking explosion times. Nobody really needs to see that. I didn't even want to see it. So there you go. Charlie's over on Instagram. Hey, Charlie. Hopefully you're doing well out there and you've got some exciting plans for the weekend. Hopefully you all do. If you have anything going on, please let us know. We always love to hear what y'all get up to. um, you know, within reason. Um, so Susie's here. Hey, Susie. Vanessa's here. Hey, Vanessa. Um, and Susan says, never underestimate the power of restorative sleep. Yeah, I know. It's, I was so uncomfortable in multiple different ways that I could not get any solid sleep. And I'm trying to be much better about being awake during the day and not a creature of the night, which goes against my every single impulse. It's just like, whoa, I'm not built for this day walker business. But I'm trying to get on a little bit better of a schedule, and both me and William actually are trying to, get on a better schedule and try to go to bed earlier. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I see Charlie. She says, "Hello. I'm mostly cleaning, but have a wedding shower to go to tomorrow." That's good. We've been cleaning the house as well, getting things ready. We're probably going to ask Ava. We're going to probably get a hotel for Ava. Um, so buy stuff in our online store so that we can afford it. No, but yes. So Ava's coming next weekend. We're super excited for that. And then shortly after that, I'm going to be going to Providence. And I'm going to Providence for a very special project that I've been helping work on for about a year now. If you are not familiar with, I don't know if you can see this, and my shirt is like got covered in cat hair and everything else, but it's the Society of Inclusive Blacksmiths. I first became aware of them when I started taking workshops in blacksmithing, and I won a scholarship, which allowed me to take a workshop with the wonderful Elizabeth Brim, who is a very talented blacksmith. She's this really cool Southern sassy blacksmith who wears a string of pearls when she's forging. And she's just a really cool person. So I first became aware of them, uh, in the blacksmithing world, and wanting to create a more inclusive space for people who are, for women and people of color and people who are LGBTQIA plus. Um, so I really support their mission. And we started talking, and a bunch of us kind of felt the need to have even more inclusivity. And so that's how the BIPOC cohort was founded. And it all happened through a bunch of conversations. And we started talking about what something would look like. And we've been kind of talking about that and planning for a year. And the first event is going to happen in September, on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And it's going to happen at the Steel Yard in Providence, Rhode Island. Our keynote speaker is David Harper Clemens, and I'm super excited. Um, it's going to be cool to meet some of these people who I've only met via Zoom for the past year. And it's going to be cool. It's the first year, so I've kind of tentatively, I'm not putting too much expectation on what it's going to be or how, I don't want to build it up too much in my mind because I don't know, it's just, I don't like to, like, they say that expectation breeds disappointment, and I don't want to be disappointed. So I'm going to just go in with it with an open heart and open mind. And yeah, I'm excited. So, we've already got kind of everything planned for housing, and yeah, it's really cool. It's a Spark Retreat, and don't ask me what the acronym stand. It's Smith's promoting something A, something R, something C. And that sounds terrible, but it has a cute logo, and it's Spark Metalsmiths or metal artists on Instagram, and I'm super excited about that. It's something that a bunch of us have been working on for the past year, and so it's a part of a bigger vision to have an annual retreat, and to promote uh, BIPOC metalsmiths or makers who work in metal. So it's not just blacksmiths, it's not just metalsmiths, it's anybody who is a BIPOC maker who works with metal or may be interested in working in metal. So that the first one is happening in Providence, and that is happening close to the end of this month. So super excited for that. I'm gonna try to sneak over to the Fuller Craft Museum one morning because there's a really cool show that I want to see. There's an enamel show that I want to see. So I'm going to try and go and see that. So we'll see if that works out or not. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. Um, Susan says, I think Providence is also the home of H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, I really like Providence. I went, I've been going off and on for a while. Um, I don't actually know it that well. Um, but I used to go to shop for beads back in the day up in Providence. And then the last time I was there was just after the the brunt of the pandemic for the Snag convention. And William and I both went, and it was a lot of fun. And so we went, and also we went to go and see a caster so that we can start producing the AG Fine pewter line again. Currently, we're just selling what we have in stock, but that, we want, if we run out of anything, we want to be able to, restock. So we went up there to see some casters. Unfortunately, because of all the COVID stuff at the time, we didn't, a lot of the stuff wasn't open yet. We'll open back up yet. So we're going to go back or I'm going to go back this month. And yeah, I'm excited. So hopefully it's a good trip. I had a good time the last time I was there. So hopefully that will continue. Spunky's watching. Hello. Yeah, so we've been I had a relatively mellow day. I've been trying to take it easy. William was at the shop today. He was very busy trying to promote the new show and get people in and kind of network and kind of branch out. And talk to different people. So I'm excited to see or hear about how that went. But he seemed like he was really excited about that during the day. So I'm excited too. Yeah. So for me, I mostly answered emails and getting some of my own stuff together. There's a bunch of deadlines coming up for me that I have to get things made and sent off. I don't realistically, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do because I'm still recovering. So we'll see how that goes because yeah, I don't want to push myself too hard. I have been really trying to be have a more gentle, more sustainable pace and not get where I have problems again. So we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely somebody who tries to do a lot. I'm an overachiever for sure. So it goes against my human nature, my very human nature to try and do less. But sometimes less is more. So we'll see. All right. So I think that I'm caught up with the schedule. I briefly mentioned, if you're just tuning in now, I see a couple new people are watching, that the Manos Gallery show is opening tomorrow, September 7th. And hopefully folks come and join us because I would be kind of sad if people don't go. And I'd love to sell some stuff. I guess that's a normal thing whenever somebody has an art show. Um, but I do feel honored just to be able to share my work. It is really such a lovely thing to be able to have a venue and to be able to promote it to their venue and their customers and kind of grow the platform that I've been working with. So I'm excited for that. But there is something nice about selling stuff and getting work out in the world. I always get super delighted when I see things that I've made go out into the world and find new homes. So, um, yeah. All right. So I'm going to flip this around. So you're going to see the ceiling for a second, and then we'll get to it. Even though my energy is a lot better, I'm still not 100% yet. And I do feel my throat is getting a little bit froggy from not using it as much. Ugh, have to build that up. You'd think that I would be expert level at that, um, but I don't know. All right, I'll put this like this. All right. Did it flip it? It mirrored it. Let me turn this back on to the right way. Camera. That's so weird that is a preset. Susan says, don't overdo it, Andrew. I'll try not to. If I get tired or start getting in pain too much, um, I'll let y'all know. I have a tile here. You know what? I'm gonna have to jack this up a little bit because I don't think I'm gonna be able to do. Um, can't sculpt if I don't have any room to work. All right, so I'll turn the other light on. All right. So I've got some polymer clay that I conditioned before I came on the camera because I don't like to. I mean, you have to, if you don't condition it by hand, you can do it by a roller, um, an acrylic roller, or if you have a pasta roller, that makes it way easier. So I'm got this kind of, I made this glow in the dark clay by working some different translucent clays together with some glow in the dark powders. So we'll see how this holds up. Whenever you add inclusions to polymer clay, it can kind of it can kind of sometimes be tricksy with with how the the structure is. So the more stuff that you add, sometimes it can make the clay brittle. So you just have to be careful with what you add to the clay. But I conditioned this, and I probably could have conditioned this more. Um, and yeah, so I'm gonna just kind of work this a little bit for a second. And if I see any hairs, that's something that's happens in our household because we have cats and also have hair. I don't have hair on my head except for my eyebrows. Um, but you know, William has hair. Anyway, so Suzanne says cat hair is magical. Yes, it can be magical, but in polymer clay, it can also create air bubbles. And air bubbles are not necessarily our friends with polymer clay. So we're going to try if I see anything, I'm going to pick it out. And then I see a piece of glitter, and I'm going to pick that out because it looks like there's a lot of glitter in this. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but There's a couple specks. I mean, that's not the end of the world. Oh well, I must not have cleaned the rollers very well I before I rolled it through. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a trick about conditioning clay. So if you've got this kind of ball, if I squinch it like this and roll it and then fold it, squinch it, fold it, and just kind of knead it together so that it's nice and soft. I'm going to work directly on the surface of this tile. And the reason why I'm doing that is because of a couple different things. For one, I like to be able to pick up my work and move it. And I like to have a steady base. So, working on a ceramic tile or a fireproof surface that is flat is really good because then you can use a heat gun and par cook things. You can also put this directly into the oven and not worry about it catching on fire. And I think that's a really good thing. I like also because you can pick it up and move it around and you're not locked to like the table, for example. Some people, they like to work on the table, but you can ruin your table also if you're not careful. So this is a nice thing. They're really inexpensive. If it gets stuff like paint on it, you can always take a tissue blade and gently scrape it or give it a wash and a scrub with some steel wool and can kind of clean it up that way. It's very easy. It's just like cleaning your bathroom, basically. Yeah, I like to work on these. I also like this size because then I can work big or I can work kind of small. If you get the great big pieces, I saw a couple people working on these like foot size sheets, like the 1 foot by 1 foot tiles. That's cool if you're working big, but you do have to realize that then you have to maybe transfer. It depends on what you're going to cook it in. So if you have a small toaster oven, then you're going to need something that's going to fit in the toaster oven. If you're using a regular oven, you can use those great big tiles. But if you do use that and you are using that oven for food, what I would recommend is creating an aluminum foil tent to put over your project while it's curing in the oven. That way, as the off gases, any of those off gases will stick to the interior of your kind of aluminum foil hat instead of on the surface of your oven. So just keep that in mind, y'all. All right. So the next thing, this is nice and squishy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off a piece about, the size of a gumball or so. And I'm just going to put this in the very little kind of dip of my hands and roll it around. And this is going to create kind of a smoother ball shape. So I've got this smooth ball now of polymer clay. And the next thing I'm going to do is, I'm not going to put this, I'm going to put that back into there for now, is I'm going to gently press this down. The next thing I am going to do is I'm going to take these two fingers and press them in here like that. And it's going to create those two divots in the polymer clay like so. And the next thing I'm going to do is push it down like that. And that's going to make the mouth hole. All right, I have some fun beads. They're glass beads and they're really cool. I got these in Tucson and I just love them. They're eyes. And these ones are kind of like a green, like a pea green color. So I thought that would be perfect for our little creature. Now this one, the green kind of blended together. So I'm going to pick a different one. And I think we had these on the website for a while. I don't know if we still have them, but if you are looking for them and you can't find them, email us at info@allegorygallery.com, and William and I can hook you up. All right. So we've got these two eyes, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set those in my polymer clay, my little face. And I think the cool thing is that because it's Halloween, you can kind of do different things. So if you wanted it to kind of look up and want to look down, you can do that. What I am going to be trying to be careful of is I don't want the holes to show. So if you have a place where perhaps the the hole is close to the iris, then you're going to want to find an area where it's less. Now these are kind of, if you just stick them in like this, guess what, the business not going to stick. So you need to have something that you're going to create that's going to hold those beads in place. Otherwise, once this is cured, they're sticking now, but once this is cured, they just roll out, and then have the infinite sadness as you chase your beads down the street. So try to avoid the infinite sadness. And what I'm going to do that is I'm going to make these little canes, these little logs, these little logs. Here, I'm going to make a little log of polymer clay or snake coil. I'm going to make a coil of polymer clay. And I'm just going to start off with this. You can see that that's like what, 2 millimeters or so. But you can make that a little bit bigger. You can make it smaller, whatever you want. You can add more. It's hard. And you can also have more and then subtract away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently put that like so. And then I'll zoom in so you can see. That is not the most beautiful nor elegant thing. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll roll out these kind of, it looks kind of like a little slug. And what I'll do is it's a tapered kind of shape. And then I'll have that and I'll go like so. And then my favorite sculpting tool is these African porcupine quills. I like them because they're lightweight. If you're doing a lot of sculpting, sometimes, excuse me, the heavier tools can kind of wear over time, holding stuff. You don't really think about it. Like you're like, oh, that's not, it's not that heavy. But after a while, you're going to feel it. So right now I'm just blending a little bit in. I'm not really paying too much attention, but I am going to blend a little bit more. I'm going to have to add more. So, and then I'm going to do that on the bottom as well. And what I'm doing basically is I'm creating the eyelids for my creature. I'm creating the eyelids for my creature. And the eyelids, like in like in our faces, it holds the eye in place. So not only is it something that not only does it have a functional purpose of holding your eye inside the eye socket, but it will also be an opportunity to show facial expressions. So that's one of the things that is really cool, is that with a couple tweaks of how thick you make your little crescent roll, you can then you can have it be you can have it so that it shows a lot of like character. And sometimes when I teach a class on sculpting faces, what I'll do is I provide a little kind of lookbook that folks can have in their class materials where it shows different people and their faces that they're making. And I think it's really helpful to sketch. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll take my idea book and I'll go to a place with people and I'll kind of sketch really quickly different facial expressions so that I can kind of capture their kind of that energy. Generally speaking, don't spend a lot of time on those drawings. I'm more interested in learning the gestural forms that are going to create kind of a personality, and it's kind of interesting, I think, to see how that works. All right, so I've got this going on right now. And notice I've only smoothed the top lip of that kind of that little slug that I put on. I'm not smoothing the bottom, I'm smoothing just the top. And the reason why is that I want that to have kind of a clear definition away from the glassy eye. So this is a not only are you creating something when you're doing this, not only are you creating a face, but you're also working on how to embed things in polymer clay. Now, you can also, if you're really worried about them popping out, I have made thousands of these faces over the years, and I don't think any of them have popped out if I didn't want it to pop out. What I did Nancy says, I just hate it when I have to chase my beads down the street. Correct. Nobody wants to chase the beads down the street. I actually would. If there's like a bead mobile, I would chase the bead mobile. Well, I probably couldn't do it right now, but on a good day, I would hobble along that bead mobile and chase after it. But normally speaking, I don't want to chase my beads. But I would be tempted to run for some good beads, depending on what it is. There's some beads I'm not gonna run nothing for it, but there are some beads I would definitely run for them. Michelle's watching. Hi, Michelle. So yeah. So what was I talking about? Um, So if you did not see, I added the lower lid. And oh, I was talking about how I've made hundreds and thousands of these kind of faces, and I think they're fun. It's not they're not super anatomically correct or anything, but they're kind of more whimsical and more festive, and I think that that's a cool thing. I do think it is good whenever you're working on kind of fantasy creatures to do have references to real life things. So if you are sculpting eyes, look at pictures of eyes. Even if you're working on like a dragon where a dragon may not have photo documentation, and it's more of your interpretation, sometimes it is good to look at things like that so that it is kind of rooted in reality. All right, so I've got these eyes. We're gonna go and we're gonna look up into this. They're kind of wonkadoodle. One of the irises is way bigger than the other, and I probably should have took that into account. But I'm going to use that into my design element as kind of like, yeah, I'm going to use that into my design. I'm going to purposely make it so it's a little bit more wonkadoodle. Susan says, your face reminds me of something from classic sci-fi horror movie. Yeah, I can see that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to I have a little ball of clay here, and I'm just gonna ever so slightly twist it on one side, and it's gonna make this teardrop shape, like so. And I'm gonna lay that down in between. Yeah, one of the times I taught this at FIT in New York City. It's called Making Faces. And it was all I had. I made hundreds of these little faces in preparation for that class. And one of my earliest experiences, I actually have been working with polymer since I was fairly small. We got it as a gift and used that to sculpt and made a bunch of little creatures, fantasy creatures. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since. There was a little shop in Orlando that I used to sell them at, and that's the first place that I really got a chance to sell my work. There was one teacher in middle school who she ended up buying some of my paintings when I was in middle school, and that helped me buy some more art supplies so that I could make more paintings. And it was really nice, I think. Her name was Frankie Huff, and she was probably one of my earliest supporters. And then once I had more art supplies and things, then I started selling in that shop. Um, the shop owner, she kind of knew I didn't have a lot of money. So it was nice. She gave me opportunities and allowed me to pursue my art. All right, I'm going to make a bigger kind of slug, and I'm going to put that right down here like so. And again, I'm just going to focus on the top of that kind of crescent roll, the unbaked crescent roll. All right. And then I'm going to do another one. Susan says, I mean the little critter you're creating. I figure that's what you were talking about. Um, and then I'm going to take this little thing and I'm going to put this on the bottom lip. And I'm going to smooth down the bottom seam. And this is something that, it's super basic once you get the steps down. So if you have young people in your life, like grandkids or kids, and you want to do this with them, you can do this. I've done this with groups of all ages, and everybody has had a great time. All right. So I've got this. I've got the kind of nose and and then I'm going to kind of keep smoothing. So one of the things that I talk about a lot is working from the general to the specific. So what that means is I'm not like detailing anything right now a great deal. I am kind of removing some of the kind of boogers that I'm making. Sometimes when you scratch in or when you uh, work with polymer clay, what happens is these little pills. I don't know if you can see them. Can you see them? There's some right here. Some of the little pills can form, and it's not the end of the world, but it does create kind of a rough texture. So I don't want that texture. What I want is a smoother, fun texture, and that's what I'm going to be trying to do. So, but like I said, I'm not worried. I'm not making any kind of crazy details at this point. I'm just working kind of fast and I'm creating kind of those loose structures. So I've kind of got the eyes in place, I kind of got the nose in place, I kind of got the lips in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to think about cheekbones or little cheeks. I want to keep a kind of roundish face because if I do it right, then maybe I can beat around it. So I think that would be fun. Have a project, like a multi-step project here. All right, so I've got these little balls of clay. I'm going to divide this up and I'm going to put these on at the tops or the kind of the at the tops of these that lip shape. So there you go. And again, this is how I do it. There's a million ways to make faces. So somebody else may have a completely different way of showing you how to sculpt a face, and that's completely fine. You know, everybody is different and learns differently and can kind of absorb things a certain way. And you know, that's the beauty of our craft community is there is so much diversity in how we learn, how we teach, how we make things, and how each person, no matter who I've taught, everybody's stuff comes out different. Um, and not in a bad way, not like they didn't understand the assignment because everybody was successful, but depending on, you know, your motor skills or your personal aesthetic, it can kind of change it. All right, so I blended in those cheeks and I'm going to just kind of push them in there. I kind of want to have this not be so human. I want to make kind of make it into kind of maybe a little bit ghostly. I don't know. I'm going to play around with this. And what that means is I'm going to soften up some of the harder pokey outer bits. And we'll see. All right. So, how are you all doing? Are you all having a good evening so far? Are you all working on any projects? What are y'all up to? What's up for dinner, y'all? Last night we made this kind of Mexican street corn, and or William did it, and I had I don't know if I can't zoom in, otherwise I would zoom in. Um, So, one of the other things that's good to do periodically whenever you're sculpting is to rotate your piece and look from different angles. So, when you look at things from different angles, you can see that I didn't smooth down necessarily as much on this side. So, that's what I'm going to do. Michelle says, got my delicas from you, working on that special project. Well, that's awesome. Hooray. Susan says, I had a good dentist appointment today. Hubs picked up a smoothie for me to celebrate. That sounds good. What kind of smoothie was it? Miss Monkey says, I'm beating, not sure about food yet. Yeah, I'm getting pretty hungry, so we'll see. Probably something quick because I'm not in the mood to be cooking all night. Um, so I'm gonna go and rotate this around and kind of move this around and look at it from all the different angles. Make sure I didn't miss anything. And then maybe I'm gonna do something else. Maybe I'm gonna do something completely different. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm gonna do something different. All right. So I'm going to, and this is gonna look kind of weird for a second. I'm gonna smoosh this down. And then I'm going to take the tip of my, see how there's a slight curvature in that? Can you see that? There's a slight curvature. It's going up like this. I'm going to take this and go like this. And I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to go on the other side. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch sides because this is a little bit of a finer tip. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go into the corners of the mouth and I'm going to pull them up like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that for the bottom as well. And then I'm going to find the middle line of my piece and make an indentation here and on the top. And then I'm going to go and do that again. I'm halving it. All right, so I'm going to kind of make this more of a triangular nose. Let's see. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing, but we're going to play together. All right, and that's going to create kind of like a little skull baby. Looks friendly. Sometimes depends on how you do skulls. They can look really scary. And then sometimes they can look really cute. And because I'm going to exaggerate some of the things, what I'm going to do is see how this is coming like that. I'm going to take, and I'm just going to use the back of the paddle. See the back of the paddle and go down like so. I'm going to continue to do that on all these little teefies on the bottom. All right. I'm kind of leaving the marks in there because I think it's going to be good to have that. It's going to add some texture. Susan says, I made some earrings and several mishmash bracelets. I need to make an adjustment on one of the bracelets. Then I'll post on the design challenge page. I also remade an earlier bracelet that just needed a different look. Susan says he's toothy. Yeah, I think this is turning out pretty cute. All right, I'm going to adjust this and move those cheekbones up. Normally, if you got a skull, your eyeballs is a long time gone. If your skull is showing, at least. I don't know. So we'll see. Usually with a skull, they don't have like rounded cheekbones. Or rounded cheeks, because the cheek meat, that's already gone. All right, I'm gonna blend this up and kind of work these in. So there you go. We have this little monster face. And you know what? If you wanted to, you could stop right now. What? You mean not work on something for 10 hours just straight? Yeah. So if you wanted to, you could definitely kind of adjust that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of texture here. Maybe some texture under the eyelids. And the cool thing about this texture is that it's going to hold any kind of, if I patina this or add any kind of anything to bring out the details in this, it's going to, those little creaks and crevices are going to pull that patina and make it look or that paint and make it look way more detailed. So part of it is smoothing the clay, and then part of it is then kind of undoing that and adding. So I'm going to go back through and take this tool and re-outline my teeths. And the other thing that this is doing is it's helping, if it's not completely set down and bonded to the clay underneath, we're going to do that now. All right. And then at the top of the teeth, I'm going to splay it out like that. And what that's going to look like is it's going to look more like teeth than not. All right. So I'm coming in through here like so. I see something. Andrew, what do you do with the little faces you make? Do you sell them online in the shop? Um, yeah, I used to. I haven't made any for a long time. A lot of them have been long time sold. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything currently listed, but I used to make them and sell them at shows and little things, and I make ornaments, and I do these things called podlings, and I used to sell little podling ornaments for the holidays, and so I would save these little faces and put them on things. But if you're thinking of just for pricing wise, I mean, it depends how long it takes you. I can do these faces really fast, so I don't charge like a ton. Um, but you know, that's me. Vanessa said I'd be interested in one. Well, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe spend a little bit of time and work on some faces for Halloween, and maybe we'll make some. I don't know. I'm not going to promise anything right now, any made to orders, because I get in trouble if I do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on some, um, and then we'll see. And I'll definitely let you know about um, when those hit, because I think they're fun, and I think that they can be really cute. And then you can do a lot of things. So, um, I do have a lot of pills on this right now, but one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm not going to worry about getting rid of every single one. And the reason why is that if I get rid of every single one, I'm gonna be here for about 10 centuries, and other people got stuff to do in their life, and nobody has time for that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to when I when I cure this in the oven, afterwards I'm going to take a soft cloth and gently burnish the surface of this, and I'm going to it's going to take all of those pills off. Now, there is something else you can do. Once it's cooked, if there's like real texture and you're like, oh boy, I did it too much. Sometimes, moderation. Sometimes you just gotta be like, oh boy, what happened? So sometimes what you can do is take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and put it on a soft cloth and gently rub it. Now, what you are doing, by the way, what you're doing when you do that is you're melting the clay. And even the cooked clay, it's not forever. It kind of eats away the surface. But one of the cool things about that is it kind of dulls out some of those sharp edges. So if you have something and it's like got all the sharp stuff all over it, and you want to make it a little bit softer and a little bit easier to wear and maybe not snag on your clothes until the end of eternity, then you can do that and it will help to take those little sharp pokey bits out. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some eyebrows to my little creature because eyebrows, I think are one of those things that can really help with the expression of your creature. And that is, again, we're going to make this little tiny little slug. I'm going to put that up there like so. We're going to put that up like there. We're going to do that. And I'm not going to tack these down because I'm going to show you some things. All right, so take a look. So if I make the eyebrow like this, it's angry. If I make them and put them like this, it's all happy and hopeful. If I put one here, it's kind of got like a raised eyebrow. If I kind of put them in the middle, then it's kind of, it's all right. That's more normal. And then you just have to kind of play around with it. All right. And then so I think I'm going to put this, I'm going to make it a little bit sinister looking. Still cute, but a little bit kind of mean. Like it's like, I'm cute, but I may bite you. All right. So we're making monsters today for anybody who's just tuning in. I see Classy Jules 1 joined us on Instagram and Batman 778593 joined us as well on Instagram. All right. So I am going to just smooth down both sides because if you don't have a point of connection, then guess what? That business not going to stick. And if it don't stick, it's not going to stay. And it's going to fall right off. And you don't want your eyebrow slipping off into the ocean. All right. Kind of as like a little zombie character. Looks like it. Little ghoulie baby. I hate to call it ghoulie baby though because Christy Friesen has ghoulies. And these are not the same. I mean they're not that different in the sense that they're polymer little fun things. All right. So I need to stretch out my leg for a second. All right. So this is what we've made so far. Boy, that light, it's a little tiny light that helps y'all see maybe. But this is blazing hot. They've been gonna cook something. I was like, why is the clay so soft? And it's because it's like sitting under these lights. All right, what do y'all think of that? Y'all like that? No, getting the anatomy. If you're trying to get like perfect anatomy, then this is not the way. It's kind of like you can use all these techniques and work on kind of anatomy, but honestly speaking, it's not going to be that like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little dimples above the teeth and then mix the skull. I'm going to maybe add a little chin, a little bit of a chin. Susan says I like the happy eyebrows. Yeah, it makes it not too scary, right? Just enough, right? Michelle says I like it. I'm going to add this, a little bit of that. And a little bit of this. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add some dimples. And you'll be like, how does this skull have dimples? But you know what? It works out. I don't know how it works out. I'm going to add some dots here and some dots here. And what that does, I'm going to smooth them out actually. I don't like them. In a fleshy face, sometimes I like it, but in this, I don't like it. But it helps build that kind of definition. So I'm going to do a once around, maybe add some texture on the chin, give it a little bit of something in there. And then that way, I can be done. I'm going to look at it from all the angles. This one, I didn't smooth this down. And then I'm going to add maybe some forehead wrinkles. And you can also rub your finger and get some of the pills, the clay pills that way. And then in the details is where things kind of come alive. So if you add little things like crow's feet, that adds something. You can add little furrows in the brow. That can add something and change the look. That made it a little bit more scary though. That's fine. It don't need to be too friendly looking. All right, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna gently, just lightly drag my tool over the eyelid and create the texture on the eyelid. And that is also gonna hold the paint, and it's gonna cause some nice kind of shadows in the eyes. If everything's too smooth, what happens is it won't stick in those little spaces. All right, so here's the magic. I'm going to show you. All right, so I have these powders, and there's a glowworm powder. These are from Smooth On. This is a blue-green powder. This is an electric yellow, and this is mint green. So you can look at it. There's the mint. I always call. Okay, so here's the thing. I always try to close up powders when I'm working in an environment like this because it's very easy to get distracted and bump it, and then you have a mess. I think this is the mint. Well, maybe this is called a blue green, but I don't know. Maybe it looks different when it glows. I have a black light. We can look. Oh boy. Okay, so that's the blue green. Can y'all see that, or am I blinding y'all? So this is the blue green. This is the mint green. That's more of a lime to me. I never see any mint like that. If I saw a mint like that, this called a radioactive. And then this one is electric yellow. All right. And then this, which ones did I add to this? So that's kind of a greeny color. So what color do y'all think I should use? Yellow, green, or blue? I'll let y'all pick. Yellow, green, or blue? Yellow, green, or blue? Yellow, green, or blue? I'll give you all a second to type. If you're going to type yellow, green, or blue. Spunky says nice. Well, Michelle says yellow. So far, one vote for yellow. Any other votes? Otherwise, I'm just going to randomly pick something. All right. All right. Let's do yellow then. All right. So what I'm going to do is my finger is, I've been working with a polymer. So there's a little bit of a residue on my fingertip from the polymer. I'm going to use that to my advantage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingertip and gently put it into the top of this powder. I don't want a lot. I want just a tiny, tiny bare amount. And then I just want to gently kiss some of the highlights with this powder. Not too much and not too little. So I'm just going to gently kiss some of these little highlights. And what's going to happen is when that bakes into the clay, then that's going to, wherever it's adhered to the clay, it's going to stay put. If you don't have it touching the clay, it's not going to do that. Okay, see now somebody said blue and somebody says I like the mint green. Well, maybe we'll do multiple. So I did yellow. I'm going to use a different finger so I don't cross-contaminate. And then just gently hit this. And you can also use a brush. The thing about brushes at this stage is that you can kind of sometimes, if the clay is too soft, you can actually scratch details off of it or into it. All right. And then I'm going to do one more. Pick a different finger on my other hand and do the blue powder. And I'm going to be careful because I don't want to have like glitter and then have this be all over creation. All right. So there you go. Suzanne says she's back from dinner. What'd you have for dinner? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven and cure it. Actually, I'm going to go. If you have a stiff brush like this, you can go and you can do this into the areas, the recessed areas, and that's going to add a texture that's going to help hold paint. It's also, as I go over, it's going to help smush the pigment powder into the surface of the clay. So that's the face. Made a little zombie creature. Michelle says, how long does it take to bake? A good question. It's 275 for every quarter-inch thickness. So I would probably put this in for about 30 minutes. And when I do this, I'm going to take this clay off and put this off to the side. And then I can go put this thing, the whole thing in there. I'm just going to put a little temp. Even if I use a toaster oven, um, a dedicated toaster oven, because you can buy dedicated toaster ovens for polymer clay. I still like to temp my pieces. And one of the things about that is, sometimes there's a power surge, or you get the settings wrong, or you set it too hot, or who knows what. Sometimes, there's a solar flare, who knows. But anyways, it causes the temperature of the oven to be inconsistent, and then guess what happens? Your piece gets scorched. And that doesn't mean the end of the world. You can always go back and fix it. However, guess what? Then you have to deal with it. So I don't like to have to deal with problems that I like to be in control of the different factors with my pieces. So I don't want to have like problems that I can't control. So then what I'm going to do is just put a little tent of aluminum foil, and that's going to help keep it from getting burnt up. Now, there's a couple different things that I recommend when you're curing your polymer clay. There's a thing called an oven thermometer, and those are wonderful. They're not terribly expensive, and you can get them. There's a bunch of different places you can get them. I know Cool Tools sells them. Amazon definitely 100% has them. And even if you have a setting on your oven to be 275, you can cook it up to probably 300. But the thing is that not all ovens are the same. Um, we had one oven in one of the classes that I took that for some reason was just hotter than all the other ovens. And it was set for the same temperature, and it was seemed like it was fine. And no, it was hotter, and everybody's pieces who they put them into that oven got burned. So just be careful, and using an oven thermometer is super helpful. They make fancy ones where you can they're like guns, and you can measure the heat with a gun. The other ones is just a little cheapy little thermometer, and you stick it in there, and it's got a little like it sits on there, and you can look at it, and you can leave it in there, and you can monitor the temperature. Now, the other thing I'm going to mention about this, about curing, is that about, well, what was I going to say? I don't know, went away. Um, oh, one thing that you can do is sometimes ovens have what are called hot spots. So if you're not familiar with your oven and you're like, sometimes you bake cookies, some of them is raw, some of it's hot, or some of it's charred, and some of it's not. Sometimes ovens have hot spots and cold spots. So a way that you can do that and see where that is take a cookie sheet and line the cookie sheet with a layer of desiccated coconut, and get the one that's the sweet sugared one. And the reason why you want to get the one, the sweet sugar one, is because the sugar added will kind of caramelize, and you will see if there's any places in your oven, and it will create a map of where the hot spots are in your oven. So if a one area is super kind of dark, then that's your hot spot. If one area looks like the coconut's not even touched, and it's like completely white and kind of soft and wet, then you have a cold spot. So you can plan where you put your piece in the oven. There are some ways that you can create environments where you can put um, like stones, like heating stones in your oven, and like a pizza stone, and that can create kind of an overall even heat. So there's a lot of ways to work around that. So if you do have cold spots and you don't know what to do, there's ways of working around that. Now, the other thing that I'm going to mention is letting things cool down. So when it comes out, you kind of have to let it cool before you can handle it. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can let air cool, and that's fine. You can also have a dish of cold water, and sometimes you can dump it in there, and it can rapidly cool. Now, the downfall of that is that sometimes it can cause things to crack. So so that's a tricksy thing, is it can cause cracking. However, it can also fix cracking. So if you bake something and a seam opens up, one thing that you can do is put it back in the oven, get it back hot up again, and then dunk it in the cold water. And the contraction of the clay sometimes will seal up some of the cracks. Now, doesn't always happen, and sometimes the opposite happens and it opens up, but it is a way that you can sometimes heal cracks if they form. If there are cracks in your polymer clay when you bake it, there's a couple things that could have happened while you were working that made that happen. And one of those things is that you didn't condition your clay all the way. And conditioning clay is really good because what happens is you're working all those kind of plasticizers throughout the entire thing and creating a homogeneous, smooth one thing. One kind of it's going to cook all at the same level. Now, another thing is that you'll have kind of areas where there's a lot of mass, and then there's parts that are like skinny. I don't recommend doing a lot of stuff with skinny parts with polymer clay because it's just not sturdy. If you are going to do stuff like that, you just have to think about how you're going to protect those things. So if you set that behind something or you dip it in resin, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that you can make that sturdy or not become an issue. However, if it's just going to be for jewelry parts, you don't want something that's going to be real fragile because guess what? That's where it's going to break. Now, the other thing is that if it's smaller and thinner, it's going to cook faster than something that's got like a bunch of weight. So if you have like this great big blob and then like this tiny little twig that comes off and this leaf, that twig and leaf are going to cook way faster than this thick piece. So there's a couple different things that you can do. You kind of want things to be relatively even in size. Sometimes sometimes you can't avoid that. But some things that you can do to help to kind of even out the mass and the distribution of mass is you can kind of create an armature of aluminum foil, and that will help. You'll have a kind of an even thickness all the way around instead of having like one like chunker of a piece of clay and then like this one little tiny twig of clay. So at least you have a little bit more even if you have an armature inside like a piece of aluminum foil that's been crumbled up. Now it also do different things. So an armature like that can also keep the amount of clay down. So polymer clay has gone up in recent years in price. Used to be you could get this 75 cents. Now it's like some of the clay is $6, $7, $8 a piece. So it does add up. It's still relatively inexpensive, and you can find it on sale and all kinds of things, but you don't want to waste money if you don't have to. The other thing is that it can keep the weight down. Sometimes if you're working on a jewelry component, you don't want something to weigh 10 pounds. You want this to be light and not be super heavy. Even this, you could do stuff to get the weight down. And wherever it's really thick, you could take um a tool kind of like this, but more loop shaped. I don't know if I have one. right here. And you can scrape out some of that to keep the weight down, like so. But if you have the round door one, it works better. All right. Now, Michelle says about curing. So, when you bake your pieces, you're curing them. You're not actually cooking them, you're curing them. Sometimes when I'm talking, it's like fun, like you're cooking, and it's like a euphemism, but you're actually curing the clay, which is helping the chemical process to reach its catalyst point to have the clay become solid. So that's what curing is. With other things, like air dry clays or things, it's not a drying process. It's not it is a baking process, but the heat is what's causing the curing. So this is yummy. Well, hopefully fun. All right. And for the food. She said meatballs, pasta, bread, ice cream. All right. And Michelle says, okay, thank you. All right. So that's going to be it from me today. It's kind of a short one for us. I may jump back on later. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, here's our little monster we made today. So we'll go and we'll take this and we'll cure it in the oven. I'm going to put it in for 275 for about 30 minutes and let that cure, let it cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush on some acrylic paint, and then I'm going to wipe off where the highlights. So it'll bring out all the details that we added in our sculpture. All right, I'm not going to turn the camera around. Y'all saw my face already. If not, then watch the replay. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. I appreciate it. I know that there's a lot of things going on in the world and you have a lot of different options. I am going to do one quick plug before we go. We made a kit, and this kit is available on the website. That's www.allegorygallery.com. And the proceeds from the sales of these kits goes towards Beads of Courage finding their forever home and being able to afford it. So we definitely want to make sure that they are able to get that headquarters. So we wanted to contribute. So we made some kits that are for sale. And we also made this really lovely mix. So you can get both of those online. We have not sold out yet at allegorygallery.com. And you can type in the search bar Beads of Courage, but it should also be right up at the top. Hopefully, we sell out so that we can make a sizable donation. We really want to do right by them. They've done right by us in the past, and we want the rising tide to raise all boats and show them that the AG Bead fam cares about them and wants them to succeed. So, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for all of your support. We hope that you all have a great rest of your evening and that you have a good weekend. And if you're in the Pittsburgh area, come check out the 24 mini show at the Manos Gallery tomorrow from 4 to 8. All right. See ya.